Hi, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Madison.
And we're the Whites.
We're from Nashville, Tennessee, and we renovated this 1984 Toyota Dolphin RV.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of home. I need you on my fire. I want you to know that every time you're away, I long for you so much I can find my way.
Well, welcome to the White Home on Wheels. Though this is a tiny home, we do have everything that we need in here, so I'll give you a tour. Well, starting off with the kitchen, we did renovate these countertops, and there used to be a 1984, we're assuming, oven that was right here, and we removed that and replaced it with this 2 stovetop burner, and then used underneath as storage for our shoes instead. This is really all that we needed, and we were never really going to cook anything in the oven, so that works for us. And since we don't have the oven, we installed this microwave, which is all powered through our solar, and the stove is powered through propane. We do have the original refrigerator right here. It is also powered by propane, but it can be switched over to electric. It is small, so it has a little small freezer, but it is big enough to fit everything that we need in it. So this cabinetry is all original to the RV. If you look at Toyota Dolphins, you can see that for this particular year they do have this style. We did remove one of the cabinet doors to put in the microwave, but we have, I call it the medicine cabinet, but it is just our toiletries as well as some medicine and dog treats and just miscellaneous stuff that we need to keep in there sometimes. And then up here is where we keep all of our food, and on this side I try to make it really easy for all of our snacks are in here, and then all of our seasoning is in here, so it makes it easy to pull out whenever you want a snack. And also a secret is that we do use our microwave as storage for things like chips and bread, things that we don't want to get crushed. It is handy but very annoying sometimes. We do have just regular utensil drawer, and you know, just like every other house, we have a junk drawer. These doors down here, it looks like it would be a place for storage, and it's really not. It's where the box for the wheel is, so it's kind of a bag, some extra shoes. You can see the water tank from,
There we go. It's kind of falling apart.
We gotta fix that because we went down a very bumpy road and some screws have come loose, so we'll fix that. But we have some more shoes in here, some workout like bungee straps in there. So there's only so much that you can fit down there, but
Original carpet.
yeah, the original carpet. We did not renovate that far. Whenever we were looking for our home on wheels of what we really wanted, we knew that we wanted the RV with the rear dinette. So it has the big window, so that way we can back up the RV and we have so many different views outside of this window, and it's just a really cozy area. And we don't, technically this area can be turned into a bed, but we actually cut the table down to size, so you can't do that anymore. That's just a sacrifice that we felt like was okay to make, I guess, because we have a smaller table, so there's more room back here. For this rear dinette area, I am not a seamstress, so I didn't want to make couch cushions, so I actually found some cushion covers from Amazon that didn't exactly fit the cushions, so I just added some straps right here. So this was the original covers right here, so we just took these off, washed them, and then put these covers on top, and it just kind of gives it a nice color, and it's our fabric since we bought it and cleaned it ourselves, so that just kind of gave it more of a homey look back here. Removing the curtains in this RV whenever we first bought it was probably one of my favorite things that we did in here, because they were orange before and they weren't blackout, so they are all blackout shades, and you can just roll them down yourself like that. But I think our favorite rollout shade is this one in the very back. It is blackout and battery powered, so it also doubles as a projector screen. So we just hook up our projector right here and point it at this screen back here, and we can watch some movies or just some Netflix, some YouTube. But it's probably one of our favorite features in here for sure. We usually just use those at night, obviously, but it was just kind of a cool little feature that I know Tyler wanted to add. So you can obviously change the colors and stuff on there. But there's that. And Tyler's probably the least favorite feature, but probably a feature that I feel like just tied together the RV was this light fixture that we got from Amazon for only $13. So whenever we don't want to have on the bright white LED lights, we can turn this one on, and it's just a warm yellow color right over the dining area for a more cozy setting that we've only used like 2 times.
Yeah.
But I still really like that feature. I just think it's really cute. Kind of ties in, like, once again, that farmhouse feature. Up here we obviously have more storage. It's where we just kind of keep some of Ollie's things, some electronics, computers, stuff like that. But if you see our RV out somewhere, you didn't hear that. Underneath these couches we actually just have more things like the water tank. Our second water tank is on this side of the bench, which is technically my side, and then under Tyler's side is just the inverter and some other stuff that he will go into at a later time. We do have this cute little basket over here. Gets neglected, but it's like our SAD library right here. And let's see, over here we do have a smoke detector, and we have a carbon monoxide reader down there by Ollie's Food. And then this is a original control panel that came with the RV, so we just left it because it's one of the only original things to the RV. The only thing that works is turning on and off the water pump. These other things don't work. So additionally to this side of the kitchen, you come over here and we have our sink. So we did replace this countertop as well, and then a thing that people always have questions about is why we have 2 like sink faucets. So this, we've added both of them. So this one is just for cleaning the dishes. It's a great farmhouse sink. But this one is for filtered drinking water that we added. So underneath the sink there's a little water filter that goes through, and we can drink water through that. But we usually use that water for cooking. We have our mugs right here, and then just like we have this little storage for olive oil and some other little things in here. And up here is where we keep our bowls and plates and cups, extra food like ramen. We have our mini waffle maker, NutriBullet, and toaster in here. We have our silverware drawer right here. And then in the original RV there is a heater that is right here, but we took it out because it didn't work, so Tyler installed this pull-out trash can. Excuse the trash in there, but it's a great pull-out trash can right there. And then under the sink is a mess, like I'm sure underneath everybody's sink is a mess, but we keep our paper towels, some miscellaneous cleaning stuff. Our closet we just recently kind of fixed, so we have 4 shelves. So the top shelf is Tyler's, and then this shelf is mine, and then how did one of Ollie's toys get in there?
I don't know how.
That's just the reality.
Yeah.
So we recently, I used to have 2 shelves, and so recently we were kind of like, we need more space, so I got rid of some clothes, and now this has become a hybrid of pots and pans, some of our zip tops, our coffee maker. This is our drinking water and Ollie's dog food. And then down here is where we have our portable AC unit. This is the only place where it could fit, and that is a priority for us when it gets really hot. We do have a full bathroom. It's very tiny, but we have a toilet and a shower in here. So we completely renovated this area. We took out the original toilet and added in a front flush, and then we also added some sticky tile that is all from Amazon, and added a little bit of shelves because there used to be a storage container up there. Whenever we first bought the RV, there was a little sink in this corner right here. So that is something that we didn't really feel like we needed. So we took that out completely and then just hooked up the water there. So very glad that Tyler did that part of the renovation because it was a really tiny, useless sink. So it's a very small bathroom, but gets the job done. Part of the design process, someone that we follow on Instagram, The Wandering Sun, we saw that they added a sliding door to get into the cab, and we just thought that was a really good idea. So we kind of took that idea and modified it and kind of went along with the vibe of kind of like a farmhouse look in here. So Tyler completely built this, and all I did was paint it. But it turned out really good, and it helps with sound and it helps with weather control as well. So whenever you open this up, it goes into the cab area, which we'll show later. But next is our bedroom. So this bed, it looks like it's really small. It's a size, it's kind of an awkward size. It's not quite a full, but it's not a twin either. It's closer to a full though. It's just a little bit shorter and a little bit longer, I think. Something like that. Or a little bit wider, not as tall. So we fit up there pretty well together, but it is kind of a cozy fit. So Tyler sleeps on the inside and I sleep on the outside because I get hot and I need to put my leg over the edge. So, and Ollie always sleeps at the foot of the bed, but it's pretty comfy. And then I'll let you come around, but we have a fan up there. That was a must for me, for sound and for cooling as well. And then Tyler added a USB charger for our phones and a little shelf for us to be able to keep our phones in at night, as well as some remotes. We do eventually need to get like a curtain or something of some sort for this back window. At night we actually use our throw pillows and throw them in there right now. It's tinted, so you can't see in here unless there's a light, but that's what we do for now. But these were just regular long curtains that we had in our rental, and then I cut them and installed them up here.
One of the most important things that we had talked about prior to buying an RV was getting a solar system set up, because that was very important for us, and that enabled us to go boondocking. So I did a lot of research, watched a ton of YouTube, a ton of research, and I did all the solar myself. We bought it off Amazon. It's a Renogy. We've got a Renogy 2000 watt inverter, we've got 400 watts of Renogy solar panels with a 40 amp Renogy solar charger. This has a 2000 watt Renogy inverter. So this battery is it's called Ampere Time. It's a 12 volt, 200 amp hour battery. So this battery has been really good for us. It was actually pretty cheap, like compared to like your higher end Battleborn batteries, which cost probably double. This was like, I think we spent $800 on this, which is a lot of money, but compared to the same exact amp hours on like Battleborn or other brands, yeah, we definitely saved a lot of money. One of the things that I realized on the solar Bluetooth app, it's not very accurate on the battery reading, so I went and bought a $40 reader that measures voltage. It tells you exactly how many amp hours you have left, and it'll give you a percentage. So right now we've got 56.9% battery remaining, and we are charging at a 6 amp rate right now. Of course, we got a little bit of cloud cover right now. Usually charges like 15 to 18, maybe 20 on a really good day. This battery really doesn't weigh that much, so I wasn't super worried about the weight of it. It is lithium, so you know you can drain them to you can drain a lithium battery from 100% to like 0%, rather than like the house battery that came with this. You can't drain it past 50%, otherwise you do really bad damage to it. So anyway, yeah, I did all that. I was pretty proud of myself for, I mean, if I can do it, anybody can do it, honestly. The charge controller cables are ran down through the closet underneath here, and they stop right about here, and that's as far as they go. So on the other side, there's a storage box, which is this. So I've mounted the charge controller on the other side of this wall. So I never need to get to it because I got my reader here. It's Bluetooth, so I've never had to go in there and actually like dial settings or anything like that. So it's a good place to put it. And then the wires obviously are going straight to the battery. The ceiling is something that we also were inspired by a Instagram account called Slow Car Fast Home. They did a wood ceiling like this, and I just absolutely loved it. It made it feel very homey. So I went to Lowe's, did some calculations, and realized it wasn't going to cost a whole lot. This is really thin cedar, tongue and groove, and we just bought it plain. So when we got them, we stained all of them, and we put polyurethane on them, and obviously we matched the stain with the countertops. But once we did all that, we cut. We actually did it backwards. We painted or we stained and then we cut, which it actually didn't hurt anything. But I had to go through and I literally just took a handsaw, cut the ceiling out, because it looked like the front of the cab, or it looked like the bedroom did. It was just all white. That took us about a weekend, and I think it was like around $100 to do everything. It's not perfect, but it definitely is very, it's very homey, and it's lasted quite a long time. We've used screws to hold them up. I didn't want to use nails. And they've stayed up there since then. But while we were doing that in the process, this RV used to have a bunch of old light fixtures where they were like big plastic bubbles, and we hated those. I would run my head on them all the time. So we bought these lights, these little LED lights right here. I bought the right size cutout and just picked spots, and we cut them out and ran the wires and stuck them up there. And then I ran a switch over there, a dimmer switch. And it made the RV look so much better because it wasn't bright white. It was kind of warm and yellow, and it's more, it's just flatter with the ceiling, so nothing's like hanging down. And so you can also see underneath, we took what was left over and we did the same thing underneath all the cabinets. So here on the kitchen sink side, and then under here. We do have a 12 volt max air fan that came with the RV. I think the people before us installed it, because this used to have a working air conditioning unit. That's why there's a plug-in up here, because there was a cable ran over here. So I took advantage of it and I just took that wire and installed that, and then mounted a projector mount right here, and that's how we watch TV. So I just plug it in right there, and it worked out great. But 12 volt max air fan, open that up, open all the windows up, the air sucks right up, and it's great for cooking dinner too, because we don't have a fan above that. I do have a 2.5 gallon electric water heater installed in this RV. It works really good. It's enough to take like a quick warm shower, and it does work on the battery. It takes about, It takes a little less than 10%, but I say 10% battery to run it for like one shower to heat up an entire tank. So I have that on a timer switch for 10 minutes so it doesn't keep running the whole time and draining the battery. So the original propane water heater just was nasty. I don't think they changed the element in 30 years. The water was rusty and it just had to go. This RV is a Toyota. I think the original vehicle was a Toyota truck, and they made these in California in a town, I don't remember what it's called. I think it's Selmar, California. But they made these RVs in California, and they just took the old Toyota trucks and just put an RV on the back, or put a camper on the back. So it looks just like a Toyota truck. This is a 1984 Toyota RV, and this has the 22R 4-cylinder engine in it. And if you look it up, it's referred to as the bulletproof motor. This motor has been so good to us so far, and I really haven't had any issues or complaints. It's taken us to some crazy awesome places. It is a 4-speed, and luckily I already knew how to drive a stick from high school when I was 16. Everything in here is original except for the backup camera, which I installed because I really wanted a backup camera, and I think this was like $60 on Amazon, but I just ran the cable up and, outside and through all the nooks and crannies and up in the back. Took me like 2 hours, I think. One of the things, when we first got it, it just smelled so bad, like it smelled old, like an old musty truck. We replaced the original carpet with this, so this makes it a lot more, this carpet just makes it feel a lot more cleaner, and it makes it smell better, I think, because the nasty carpet is gone and it doesn't smell as bad. Madison bought these seat covers off Amazon. When we did the ceiling, we actually had just enough wood left over to do a new ceiling, and this is just the this piece here actually used to come up, so you used to be able to stand straight up, but we never wanted to move it, so I just permanently screwed it into the frame, and then I added this wood ceiling, and then these two LED lights right here, which brightens it up a lot more than this thing does. We decided we wanted to paint this thing because it just did not look very good. It looked very old, very 80s, kind of looked like a meth lab a little bit. So I did some research, watched some YouTube videos, saw a guy use Rust-Oleum spray paint on his camper, and so we were like, well, we got nothing to lose, so let's try it. So we went to Lowe's, bought a bunch of Rust-Oleum paint, chose white and blue, and we painted it. We spray painted it. And it took us, I think, 2 weekends to do. And we covered all the windows up and, taped everything off. And we didn't even sand anything down, really. We just sprayed it. So it's held up really well. It's been probably 5 months, I think, and it's held up really well, and it looks a heck of a lot better than it used to.
Last year, 2020 happened and COVID happened, and we were both working full-time, and we were both very blessed that we got to keep our jobs, but things were just really unknown, and we saw an account, Slow Car Fast Home, he showed them to me and saw that they were just traveling and they could work remote, and I didn't really realize that was even an opportunity to even do that kind of lifestyle and still make an income while on the road and traveling. And since we don't have any kids right now, we wanted to be more free and be able to do that with our dog, and not buy a house yet. Nothing was tying us down, so just getting an RV was definitely a lifestyle that appealed to me. We do both love to travel, so that is definitely something that was already inside of both of us, that we wanted to be able to travel. We just didn't know exactly which avenue to do it, and RV life just, once I had all the facts and figures down, then I realized that RV life is an amazing way to see the country that you live in and explore.
And you don't have to spend an arm and a leg or go into an insane amount of debt to travel. You know, if you don't have a lot of things to pay for and you're very free and you don't have a lot of ties, you can do this lifestyle very easily. And it helped for us because we worked full time for like 2.5 years for the first almost 3 years of our marriage. So in choosing our RV, like figuring out which one we wanted, I knew I wanted, at least for me, I knew I wanted something for us that was smaller and not something that was like gigantic. So I think in my mind I was thinking about doing something like 30 foot or under. So I came across this Instagram account, like she said, Slow Car Fast Home, and they were traveling in this little bitty Toyota Odyssey, and it was this tiny little 20 foot, and they were talking about how great the motor was, how they could park in a regular parking spot without, you know, going over and taking up more spots than they need to. And so I loved the Toyota part of it, because the Toyotas are just rock solid motors. But the biggest thing for me was we had looked into conversion vans like everybody's doing nowadays, and although I see the appeal in those, and I'm not knocking them or anything, but for us, we just really didn't want anything like that. For one, they can get very pricey, and two, we're about the same size. We're about 22 feet long and 7.5 foot wide, about 8 foot wide maybe. And we actually have more room. So like in a conversion van, back here, this is usually the bed and the table, like dining area. But for us, our bed, it's up front, it's over the cab, over the truck. So it's always back there, the bed's always made. We don't have to come back here, fold things down. And really it's more on my part. I'm like, when I'm ready to go to bed, I just want to jump in bed. Like, I'm too lazy to do things. So like for us, it just made more sense, and it just made life on the road sound a lot more easier. Just the fact that this could always be set up, we could pull off on the side of the road, come back here, sit down, eat lunch, whatever. But just the small aspect of this RV really drew us in. Even though, you know, this is an older vehicle, it's gotten us into some pretty remote places. Like right now, I don't know if we might have been able to get a 30 foot up here, but this place that we're at right now in Idaho, it was very easy for us to get to. So that was just the design, and there are a lot of different designs for Toyotas, like the Dolphins, the Odysseys. We wanted one with this big window in the back because we love sitting and eating breakfast, having coffee, and we like having a view. So most of these have bathrooms in the back, but we wanted the view and have a smaller bathroom. So that was, I guess that's kind of it. That's the general design.
It's a rear dinette for those who are interested in looking for a Toyota RV, looking for something with a rear dinette is the technical term of what we were looking for.
Yeah, they're very sought after too.
Yeah, they are. So it was definitely a good investment. So.
Yeah. And getting into the Toyota, I didn't realize the Toyota like RVs. I didn't really hear of them until that account, but apparently there's a really big cult following, and I mean, I kind of see why.
Whenever we first met, I was still in college, and I was actually going to go on a cross-country road trip for an entire summer with one of my best friends at the time. And he knew that I was going to do something like that, which was still crazy for me, and my parents didn't love that it was just going to be two girls traveling across the country. But I was following some van lifers at the time, and that was the lifestyle that I just thought was pretty cool. And it was it still is a big fad, but especially I feel like in 2017 is when I really started to see people get into that lifestyle. So that was something that he was interested in as well, just traveling in general. And so then that was one of our very first conversations. And then Fast forward, we get married the next year, and then I never went on that cross-country road trip with my friend because we ended up getting married that summer instead. So what we did is that for our 1-year wedding anniversary, we were working full-time, 40 hours a week, so we just used regular PTO to be able to travel across the country. So we flew out to Jackson, Wyoming, and then went through Montana, Oregon, Washington, all the way down through San Francisco, and then went right back home. So it was a super fast week, and I was very grateful we at least got to do that much. And so then flash forward back to 2020, and we're looking at RVs. He shows me that account on Instagram, and then we just really start just imagining what our life could be like, and looking at our road trip of like what all we got to see within just 1 week, and how we really didn't get to see a whole lot in the grand scheme of things, but we still got to see the States, and our country in the United States is just so beautiful, and there's so much to see, and we were doing that in a car. And so it's really cool, and now we're glad that a big reason why we chose to do this lifestyle in an RV is that we have everything that we need with us right here in this tiny little RV. Everywhere we go, our home is with us, and it's a very minimal lifestyle, which I have definitely grown to love, that we don't really have that much stuff, and it's about the experiences that matter. And it's a mental shift that you have to go through, that process of working that 9 to 5 and then going back to your house and barely having any time together if you're in a relationship. And then in this lifestyle, you're home all the time, and you get to be with each other all the time. And for us, it works.
So for us, it was definitely a shift mentally, because we lived in a pretty big, we had a 3-car garage in Franklin, Tennessee, and we got a really great deal on it. We didn't own the house, we just rented it. So going from basically a house, 2-bedroom house, 3-car garage, downsizing to a tiny house like this on wheels is definitely a shift. Like, we have to do the dishes by hand after every meal. It's terrible. If we skip a meal if we skip one dishwashing session, or we skip a day, then the sink is just piled up, and it's like, and it takes more, I don't know, I feel like it takes more water to do that. So we've just had to learn how to conserve more water, because we've only got like 36 gallons of water here. We have a very small fridge, so we've had to learn how to make food last, buy what we absolutely need, and then maybe a few things that we want. We still have like all the coffee that we need, which is great. So
we've never run out of that.
We've never run out of coffee.
We've run out of water. We've run out of electricity.
We filled up our gray tank. Water's come up through the sink.
Haven't filled up the black tank yet, though. And
yeah,
that's really all that matters.
Yeah, that's good. But we've definitely had to shift mentally. I think the biggest thing for us is just like the space, because there's not a lot of space. It's I don't even know what the square footage is. It's like less than 50 square feet. So things get cluttered very easily. So we've kind of had this rule where whoever cooks does not do dishes, and we try not to keep little things here and there. I'm probably bad about clutter.
Yeah.
I'm really bad about leaving things around. So
then I end up putting it in the junk drawer back somewhere, and then he gets upset that it's in the wrong place. Yeah. But I think that I've had the hardest time with the clutter. Yeah. Like, just looking around from what we can see in front of us, there's something on that counter, there's a couple things on that counter, and I'm like, oh, I just want things put away.
Yeah, we've just had to stay on top of cleaning.
Yeah.
A lot more. I was definitely worried about finding places to camp, like for free, like boondocking, and I was worried about where we're going to get water to fill our tanks and dump our tanks, but surprisingly there's a lot of places out there that do free. Like, we just came from a little town just down the mountain here, and with your gas fill up you can do a free RV dump and a free fill up on your water. So we got 36 gallons of water for free. But yeah, just, you know, we just have to, we don't have a lot to clean in here. We just have to do it more often. So I think that's the biggest thing, and just, you know, figuring out how to live in a small space, because you can't just throw your stuff on the kitchen table when you walk in. You have to actually put it in its place. So
I think another thing for me, as a girl, and as most girls are, we do love our clothes. I love my clothes, and I had in our duplex, whenever we lived in Franklin, Tennessee, I had 2 closets, like 2 big doors, big closets, and I completely filled those 2 closets up, and then he had like a little tiny space where he kept his clothes. Plus I had 2 dressers where I kept all of my clothes. So I downsized clothes so much. I gave away bags and bags and bags and bags of clothes, didn't I?
Yep.
It's like, you gave the house for me, because I really did give away so much clothes. But then I also put a lot of the clothes that I knew weren't going to be, you know, suitable for RV living with where we're going to be, and I also wanted them for the future, and it's like nice dresses and stuff like that I just didn't want to give away. So all of that is at my parents' house.
So when living in an RV, we've only been living here for a month now, and we've seen so many things that we wouldn't have seen if we were still in Nashville. We wouldn't have seen all the parks, we wouldn't have seen the wildlife. The last week in southern Wyoming, we saw some wild horses. And that was the first time I had ever seen wild horses, and it just kind of, I remember, like I told Madison, it just kind of struck me like wow, these are, nobody like owns these. They're just they're in the wild, and this is their homeland. So being environmentally conscious and aware is something that's becoming more important, I think, for both of us. Because you hear stuff in the news all the time, and you see the politics behind it, and you read on Facebook the articles, and people go back and forth about all this, you know, stuff, and whether it's, you know, global warming or the lakes drying up or what, you know, all of that stuff. And for us, we've actually seen, we went to a lake where it was drying up. So we don't know the cause of that, but you know, we are becoming, I think as the weeks go on, the more nature we see, the more it makes me want to be more environmentally aware. So we're very good about throwing trash away. We're very conscious about like making sure when we leave a campsite, we do not leave anything behind. We do not, like, I had a piece of trash fall on my when I opened the door just when we got here, and it flew out, and then I had to go get it. Like, I went and got it earlier. But it's, that kind of thing is very important, because, you know, you can come to these places and they can easily get ruined by other humans. If there's trash everywhere, it just ruins it. And it ruins it for the wildlife, it ruins it for people. So just keeping stuff as it is very important. We have 400 watts of solar and a 2,000 watt inverter, and then a 200 amp hour lithium battery. I didn't really buy it with like a green thumb in mind. I more bought it because it's more of like empowering, like sustainability. Being able to go out and get your own things on your own without relying on other people is very important to me. So being able to sit out here and harvest electricity and be able to run our microwave and our coffee pot and charge all our things, it's huge. So if we didn't have that, we wouldn't be able to work on the road, and we'd have to go to a campground, which costs $40 to $80 a night, just to be able to charge up and do all that stuff. So so the solar was a very important thing for us, because it enabled us to go off grid and be in places like this for free.
The design of the home, I just wanted it to be pretty just white and clean, even though now the walls get dirty very easily when things are white. So I don't know if I necessarily regret that, because I almost painted the cabinets a different color, but I did want things just to be a little bit more on the light and airy side, and I just wanted it to be overall cozy in here. And so I don't think that any one person really inspired me with anything that I put in here. It was really stuff that I really liked. Maybe just stuff on Instagram that over time I just kind of, it's like a hodgepodge of things. I think it's like farmhouse style, I think, and light and airy and a little bit more modern look. So I mean, there's a couple of things that were inspired by other people, specifically like the ceiling was so car fast home. We saw that that they had a wooden ceiling. We just went a little bit darker. I do wish that we would have went lighter, but our ceiling is darker. And then our blinds, the specific design of them, we just liked them because they were blackout shades from Select Blinds. But this one being automatic with the remote was slow car fast home design for sure. We saw that they had that, we knew we wanted to have it. But everything was just kind of like mostly in my head, I think, for that design.
There's a lot of Amazon in here.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that I saw on Amazon, I was like, yeah, that would look really good in there. But I like the farmhouse door to get into the cab. I don't think we saw that anywhere. I think we just kind of made it up and we're like, could that work?
Yeah, I can't remember. There might have been another.
Oh, no, we didn't make it up.
There's another couple, they were doing a build out and I watched all their YouTube videos because I was interested. They gutted everything. They had a Toyota Sunraider, but they, what was it? The Wandering Sun.
Yes, the Wandering Sun. That's where we got
I think they're still out there. I think they still own it and live in it and
they're in Colorado.
at least travel in it. But they had a barn door, or I don't know, maybe not a barn door, but they had a door up front, and we sort of were like, that's a good idea. So
theirs is a sliding door, I think.
Yeah, that's right. So we just kind of took it and designed it how we wanted it, and I think it matches this really well. I think it was more for me, but a little microwave was a must-have for me. In my mind, and I ran the calculations and knew that I could run a microwave off of the solar setup that we have, off of our inverter and battery. But I knew it would be a great addition, even if it's really small. We could reheat food that we had made earlier in our microwave without having to like recook it on the stove, waste some propane. I can make popcorn in the microwave, which was probably the real reason why I got it, I would say. My advice, if anybody who is thinking about getting into this lifestyle, don't just watch the first thing you see on YouTube and want that thing. You need to figure out what you want, and if you have no experience in RV lifestyle, I would say go rent an RV for the weekend. Seriously, just go rent one and then go drive an hour away from your home, stay the weekend. That way you get to know what you want and get exactly what you want. Don't compromise. Obviously, if it's within your budget.
Starting out with this journey for me personally, I feel like we've only been on the road for a month, but we have been mentally preparing for this journey for over a year. Yeah. And I feel like a totally different person than I was over a year ago, which most people are hopefully a different person they were the year previous, but a different person in just the way that I view things now. My advice would just be specifically that if you're anything like me, of someone who is just caught up in working all the time and the 9 to 5, and you're younger and you don't have any kids yet, or if you're married or not married, don't be afraid to make the jump just because you're going to lose all of that income that you had just for it to go straight into rent or mortgage. Or any other debts that you have or anything, because the way that my mind has shifted is that even though the income technically has been cut, opportunities do come up and things are okay. Like, everything is okay not having a steady paycheck coming in all the time. The world has definitely conditioned us to think that that's the kind of cycle that we need to be in, is that you work 40 hours a week and you wait for the 1st and 15th of every month, and that's the life that you live. And it doesn't have to be that way, and if you want to live that way, then that's fine too. But if you feel like that's not the life that you want, know that there's opportunities out there, there's remote work, there's options. So just take the jump and just don't be so worried about it, because things truly do just work themselves out, and things will be taken care of. So there's no point in having anxiety about it or worrying about it, because you know, now a year later, you know, I'm a much more free, mentally healthy person than I was working at the last, you know, full-time jobs that I've had.
So this is a Toyota truck, 1984. It's a 4-speed, and it is a 4-cylinder. It's the motor is a 22R. It's nicknamed the bulletproof motor. If you go to Google, type in bulletproof motor, that will pop up. And these motors have been known to run for, 100,000 miles. And this motor has been really good to us. I changed the spark plugs recently in the wires, and if you keep the oil changed and take care of it and don't run it like, you know, super hard, this motor will last a long time. And that's probably the motor, and this being a Toyota, is probably the only reason why we bought such an old RV. I know it is for me. I probably wouldn't have bought anything else from the 80s.
I just trusted your judgment.
Well, I'm glad it worked out. Oh, we have a dog. He's right here. Hey, buddy. What you doing?
He's been sleeping.
Oh, you've been
being
sleeping.
a good boy this whole time.
You've been sleeping. Come here. Let's say hi to everybody. Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
My goodness. Good boy.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah, good boy. This is our dog, Ollie. He's 3 years old. He loves traveling. He loves being with us. But, yeah, that's it.